right, guys, welcome back to our YouTube channel. I am Chet Nichols, IFBB Pro, NPC Judge, with my wife, Natalie, who is also an IFBB Pro and NPC Judge. And continuing on our series of bodybuilding life, I can't think of a better person to bring as a guest than Michael Spencer, man. He knows how to keep it real, just kind of tell it like it is. And this coming from somebody who is an IFBB Pro, he's a classic physique pro. And man, we're just going to lay it down today and keep it real for you. So, Michael, go ahead and give everybody a little bit of your history, how long you trained and things like that before you really got into, winning your pro card and from there.
Okay. So I actually got into bodybuilding on accident. I was a basketball player, and I ran track, played soccer, and I ended up injuring myself. So I broke my foot, which kind of led me into working out. So I just needed something to do. So I was in the gym one day working out. I was 145 pounds. Like I said, I played basketball, soccer. I wrestled.
Wait, 140 pounds?
145.
How tall are you?
5'10". But
how tall? What?
5'10", 5'10".
Oh gosh, man. Yeah, that was actually me, man. We were beam pose, right?
Yeah. So
anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, it was one of those things where, I was in the gym one day working out on my crutches and saw this big guy in the gym, and he was like the biggest guy I'd ever seen in person. He was a local competitor and a power lifter. And so, he was doing lateral raises and lat pull down. He was doing, because normally I would just go in and bench and curl. That's all you do is chest and arms. But I saw him doing these exercises. So I started following him in the gym. He would do an exercise and then I would stand next to him and copy it. And so he stood over me and said, "Hey, what the hell are you doing, kid?" And I said, "Shit, I don't know. You're the biggest guy I've ever seen in person other than in the magazine. So I assume you know what you're doing." Mm-hmm. And so he goes, "Well, you want to be a bodybuilder then?" And I said, "Nah, hell no. I'm 145 pounds. I'm a string bean. There's no way." But he started talking to me about, structure, muscle belly tie-ins, things like that, and eating. And so he's like, "Well, do you eat?" And I said, "Yeah, I eat. I eat McDonald's and Wendy's every day." And he's like, "No, do you eat like clean calories, food for growing?" And I said, "No, I don't know anything about that." So that's literally where it started. I was, I'd worked out since I started lifting weights when I was 15, but the bodybuilding really started when I was 17, going into 18. And from there, I just never stopped. So it's been a long time.
So what year was your first show?
So I did my first bodybuilding competition and I started prepping in the fall of 2008. I did my first bodybuilding show in 2009, which was the Mr. Fort Lewis Bodybuilding Championships, which was it wasn't an NPC show. My dad's retired military, so they had a show on the base for the GIs. Oh, cool. So when my dad would go on base to go shopping at the class 6 and commissary, he'd drop me off at the gym. And I was in the gym working out, and the athletic director of all the gyms who hosted this bodybuilding show saw me, and he came up to me and he's like, "Are you doing our show?" And I said, "No, sir, I'm not a bodybuilder." And he's like, "Well, what do you mean? You got your bag, you got your meals, you got your jug of water. Like, you look like you're 6 weeks out." And I was just like, "Nah, sir, I don't want to put those little draws on and get on stage. I just want to be buff." And so he goes, "What do you mean? You don't compete?" And I said, "No, sir, I've never done a show." And so long story short, he talked me into it. And I did the show. I weighed in as a heavyweight at the time, and I ended up winning. I ended up beating guys that, had been competing 10, 12 years. But the funny story was I get to the show. I had no idea about a tan, no idea about shaving. So I didn't shave my bikini line, didn't shave my armpits. And my dad, he's from New York. He's a very outspoken guy. So, prejudging is normally really quiet. So my father goes, "Oh shit, something's wrong. What the hell?" So we end up leaving prejudging, and I got my tan on. We go to the store and they don't have any clippers. So we had to use dog clippers, and we're in this public bathroom and my dad is shaving me. And, he's always talking about being prepared, having a schedule, having a routine. So he's like, "This is bullshit. You're supposed to be a bodybuilder and you don't even know what's going on. Like, you didn't prepare properly. I haven't taught you shit." And and so we're arguing, and then I go back to prejudging, and it ended up working out in my favor. And ever since then, I haven't stopped competing. So
yeah, the way you were talking there at the end, I can still hear that because I was in the military before as well.
Yeah.
Around it, so I can hear that like drill sergeant mentality coming out.
Yeah. My dad is he's all about being mentally prepared, you know, physically prepared. I was probably the only kid in grade school all the way through high school that had creases in my jeans, you know, bed checks, all that kind of stuff. So I feel like growing up, you know, I wanted to enlist in the military, but they wouldn't let me because I had tattoos. And so I wanted to be a Marine, and you know, the Marine Corps is very traditional. So yeah, you know, the military lifestyle and the structure that I had in my life, I feel like it really helped me in my bodybuilding career because you know, you just have to be, disciplined, and you have to have a schedule. And so, yeah, it ended up working out in my favor.
Yeah. I mean, what were you saying there?
Oh, I was just saying the regimented lifestyle. Yeah, it leads perfectly into bodybuilding.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that type of discipline, a little bit of OCD helps as well.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I'm super OCD. So I always tell people, if you're not a little OCD, you won't make a great bodybuilder or a great competitor for that matter.
I mean, there's truth in humor, and that's absolutely right. You know, so that was 2008, you said?
2009, yeah. I started prepping in end of 2008. I did my first show 2009.
And when did you win your pro card?
I won my pro card at the USA Bodybuilding Championships in 2017. So funny story about that. I was an open bodybuilder for many years. I did the Arnold Classic in 2012. I ended up getting 6th. Then I came back home. 2014, I did nationals in Florida. I got 8th. 2015, I went to USA's. I got crushed. So at that time, everyone was telling me, just give it up, Mike. You're not big enough. You're too old. You know, because I was in my 30s. They're like, you're too old. Just, you know, be married to your hot young wife and just be a weightlifter. And so I was actually almost considering switching to men's physique, because in 2015, when I was in USA's, Jeremy Buendia, Jason Poston, Jason Potman, all these guys thought I was a men's physique competitor. They're like, dude, you're going to turn pro for sure, men's physique. And I'm like, dude, I'm an open light heavyweight bodybuilder. I'm not men's physique. And they're like, yeah, they're like, you got the structure for it. And I was like, yeah, dude, no, I'm a bodybuilder. And they're like, what the hell? You should switch. So 2015, I was actually going to be a men's physique competitor because I think the class is great. Men's physique is dope. I love the look. I love the presentation. And so I came back home from Vegas, went to the store, bought me a pair of bright pink board shorts because I love pink. And I told my wife I'm switching to men's physique. And then 2016 Classic came out, and here I am now.
Light bulb, right? Light bulb moment, man.
Yep. So I was like, okay, I can do a class where I can show my legs. I don't have to be a freak or a monster. I can still look athletic and be healthy. And yeah, so I did my first Classic physique show at the Emerald Cup 2016. The year it debuted, I got first in the Masters 35 and over. That was the only year that they had an overall for Classic physique and Masters. So I won the overall in Classic physique for the Masters and won 35 and over. And then I got 5th in the Open. So I was like, dude, what the heck? Like, I don't understand. And Sandy, who all of us know, she said, you know, Mike, you need to be a little bit more streamlined. Your quads are huge like a bodybuilder still. So taper those down, come back next year and do it. And yeah, I ended up
balance things out.
Exactly. Yeah. It was the one time that I had to really think about my training and my eating and how I approached it, you know, the gym. It was the only time I really had to really change things up from the mentality of just lifting and getting big. And so, yeah, I came back to the drawing board, 2017, won the Emerald Cup. And then, yeah.
Yeah, and that's a good point, though. If you're thinking about switching categories or something, you have to strategically build your aesthetic for what that division requires. Most people are not just born looking like that. You're building that, and every step in the gym is to create that physique and that certain look that we're going for, no matter what category you're in. So.
Yeah, people don't realize the kind of the thinking that goes behind each division. You know, people think because in the gym they look good in shorts, they're like, oh, I'm a men's physique. Or if they look good in some little underwear, they're like, oh, I can do Classic. And I always tell my clients when I take them on, you know, what is your why? Why are you doing this, first of all? Because if you're doing it as a bucket list thing, then we know how to approach the training and the diet. But if you really want to be elite, we're talking about a whole nother level of mindset and training that goes into this. And that means studying the division, watching top people that you look up to and watch their approach to the division and how they prep, how they train, how they sleep, how they, you know, spend time with their significant others, how they if they have kids, how they do all those things. And so people don't realize how much planning really goes into a contest prep at the local level, but also too, once you get to the pro level, it's a whole
different thing,
whole nother animal.
Right.
So
I want to get that to the minute, but I want to back up one thing. So it took you 9 years to go from your first show to your pro card, but wait a minute. The pros are genetic freaks. They don't have to work as hard. They can go out there in a couple of years and get the pro card. So you're telling me you actually had to work at it? It didn't just come naturally?
No, and here's the thing that I tell a lot of people. I tell a lot of these young guys. I mean, I had, I was working in the union at the time as a concrete cutter, full time, working 40 hours a week. I had just had my third child, which was Little Junior. Everyone's seen Little Junior, and and I had a wife who, basically at the time my in-laws weren't they didn't approve of the relationship, so she moved out and left home, and here I am with a new fiance, wife, baby, trying to make this all work. And so a lot of people, like I said, they don't understand how much time goes into that, because now I don't also have to be mindful of my needs in the gym and out of the gym, but also my wife's needs, my child's needs. And so, these guys, they get it twisted. Like, they see the Instagram and the social media and they're like, oh, you have this many followers, you're sponsored, this and that. And I'm like, dude, it's Michael Spencer, the husband first, the father, the pro, and then everything else after that. It doesn't, it's not just the IFBB pro title. It is literally just a title that only us other pros amongst that inner circle, address each other or see each other differently, because we're all on that elite level. But to the normal guy in the gym, I'm like, I was in the mall the other day getting coffee, and I hear like, oh, there's an IFBB pro. And I actually turn around. I'm like, what the fuck? There's another pro in the booth. And my wife's like, you dumbass, they're talking about you. And I'm like, oh shit, I thought there was, I was like trying to figure out who they were. I'm like, shit, there's another pro in Linwood, Washington. Where?
You start moving out of the way so they can see that person a little bit.
Yeah,
so talking about you.
Yeah. So, I try to keep it very real with a lot of the up and coming guys. Cause like I said, when I was coming up in the sport, there was no Instagram. So I couldn't go on Instagram and look and see who was up and coming, or who. It was either magazines or just through internet, you know what I mean? And now everyone is so dialed in and connected to everyone. They just like, oh, I want to do that. This person's doing that. I want to do this. And they don't have that true perspective of like what it takes. And they don't respect, I told this guy the other day, I'm like, listen, you wouldn't say that. What you're saying to me about doing Emerald Cup, because Emerald Cup's coming up and winning Emerald Cup and turning pro. If you met Bill Gates, you wouldn't say that to Bill Gates, and he's a billionaire. You wouldn't tell him, oh, tomorrow I'm going to be a billionaire. Michael Jordan, you wouldn't tell Michael Jordan, I'm going to win 6 championships. Like, so I don't understand why you discredit like what I do. You know what I mean? Because it's still very, very special and important to do. We're a very select few amongst our area in the Pacific Northwest that have attained that level of eliteness,
Yeah.
Yeah. And the thing about social media is that they only see your polished pictures. Most people who have kids are not putting pictures of their kid vomiting at 3 o'clock in the morning, and then they're getting up in the morning and they're going to work, or they're making sure that they have gym. They got all their meals prepped before they went. They got their water measured out. All these things that we're still doing. Life does not stop. If we have a fight with our spouse the night before, you still have to go to the gym. If you're on prep, everything else still keeps rolling, and you just have to find a way to fit it all in.
Yeah, and that's exactly why I was telling one of my clients. He was kind of, and all of us have clients like, oh, you don't understand how hungry I am. I said, listen, don't tell me I don't understand, okay? Because what it took for me to get here, and here's the other thing too, like as far as keeping it real that I tell a lot of people, prior to meeting my wife, Caitlin, I was previously married. I have 2 beautiful children, an 11-year-old son who's a great athlete, and an 8-year-old daughter. So I have a total of 2 boys, 2 girls. And I was married for 8 years and went through a really bad divorce in 2014. While I was prepping for nationals in 2014, if you guys ever come to Washington, I can literally take you to the spot. There's an amusement park out here called Wild Waves that's right in Federal Way. Right across the street is a LA Fitness, and there's a T-Mobile store and a Panda Express. For 6 months, while I prepped for nationals, I slept in my car. I was homeless for 6 months prior to meeting my wife. I befriended the manager at the Panda Express, and I asked her one day, I said, hey, she asked me, oh, you're a bodybuilder or trainer? I said, yeah, I'm a trainer. I'm certified. She said, oh, I'm trying to get into shape for my anniversary. So I said, well, hey, what do you do with all that leftover food? She goes, well, we just throw it out. I said, how about this? How about I help you get ready for your anniversary, and at the end of the day, you box up all that old rice and chicken that no one eats, and I'll take it in exchange for training. And she said, sure. So that's how I prepped for nationals in 2014.
Wow.
You know, all these friends and people that I thought when I was at the top, you know, sponsored amateur, everyone knew I was a favorite to try and maybe get the pro card. I couldn't get $5 from these people. And I tell people now in my marriage, when I talk to people about in these seminars and posing clinics about balance, literally I was at an all-time low. I was in my 30s. I'm like, I got 2 kids. I'm just this buff bodybuilder with 2 children, a divorcee. I'm never gonna, like, this is my life. And out of that, God sent me Caitlin. Like, literally, the manager of the T-Mobile store, because I couldn't even afford to pay my damn cell phone bill, was letting me use the Wi-Fi. So between the T-Mobile store and this garbage can, I would park my car to get service from the store to use the Wi-Fi, just to be on Instagram and Facebook to connect with my clients. And I didn't want to tell anybody what I was going through. And my dad, being the hard ass he is, I called him up one day and said, hey man, I have nowhere to go. My dad said, listen, if I haven't taught you anything, I've taught you how to survive. Okay. You still got a beating heart. You still got air in your lungs, and you have somewhere to sleep. Even though it's your car, you got somewhere to sleep. He's like, so you can come to the house, you can take a shower, you can get some food, say hello to your mom. He's like, but you got to figure it out, man. He's like, you believe in God, you better start praying to him, because my dad is old school Baptist. He just, you know, he's just not, that's just not his thing. And so, that's what I did. And then, you know, Caitlin, she hit me up at the time. She was a competitor. She needed a coach, and she hired me to be her coach for bikini for the Washington States in 2015. And that was it. I've been with her ever since, you know. And so I tell people all the time, you know, when I talk about balance, like every Tuesday night, that's Grey's Anatomy night. And I can't fucking stand Grey's Anatomy. I don't even give a shit about TV shows. But to my wife, that time when I was married previously and my wife was always bitching, telling me to stay home, I was so tunnel vision, I didn't see. Now, we didn't have a great relationship anyway, but that didn't add to it. So now with this second chance, you know, on life and love, I tell people all the time, it's very important. It's not always about the gym. Sometimes you can take a break and take a day off and just be normal, you know what I mean? Because you have to have that, you know what I mean? And so, yeah, you know, people tease me, and you guys have seen probably our stories on Instagram or seen me and Caitlin. Like, she is, you know, I'm 14 years older than my wife, and she keeps me alive. She's so.
I love your wife. I met her at a couple of shows. You talked to her, man. She's a doll, man. I mean, perfect match. Beautiful family all around, man. I remember one time you had the little junior, I think it was, do some flexing at one of the shows. It was Tim, I think, right? So get them the names mixed up.
Yep.
You know, but take it back a little bit to the kids and dealing with all that kind of stuff. I'm going to tell the audience, one reason I should say we both thought of Michael on this is because we were standing at, I think it was Emerald Cup last year.
It was,
You and Eric and stuff, we were talking, and same message here, and you were talking about, you know, getting up in the middle of the night, taking care of your wife, then having to go deal with poopy diapers, then go to the gym, and then come back home and honey-do list and do it all over again. I mean, it doesn't get any more real than that. But people don't see that backstory.
No, they really don't. Yeah,
and bodybuilding is a pretty isolated sport. It's you in the gym by yourself. I don't care what support system you have to put in all that work. So the last thing you want to do is alienate everybody that's in your life that actually loves you. Whether you look great or you don't look great, they still love you. So you have to foster those relationships. Yeah,
it's very, I think for me, and that's why, like, I was, like, my friendship with Eric and you guys is super important, because in our sport, it is a very self-absorbed, very vain sport. And a lot of people, I tell a lot of people this at these posing clinics that I do, you know, for some of you guys that have never, you know, lost weight or been at your absolute best shape, it can open up doors in a negative way, because you'll start getting that outside attention. I encouraged this girl this past weekend at one of Tangie's clinics. Like, she's like, I cannot get my fiance to understand. And I'm like, listen, then you got to include him in what you're doing. Bring him to the posing clinics, bring him to the shows. And even if he can't stand it, maybe in the back of his mind, it makes him feel good to a certain point to know that you thought about him. You know what I mean? At least keep him in the loop. You know what I mean? Because, you know, you're doing something, and be encouraging to him. You know what I mean? Always ask him what he wants to do, because in their mind, they're automatically going to assume it's the gym. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's where, you know, I was in the mall. Lil Junior's 3. He's going to be 4 actually this Sunday. And we were teaching him how to potty train, and kind of going back to like what I was talking to you guys about at the Emerald Cup. I mean, Junior's a very, very vocal kid for his age. He's very smart. He's like, Dad, we're running through the mall. He's like, Dad, I'm going to piss my pants. I got to pee. And so we're running through the mall, and I'm like, just hold it, just hold it. And these kids from the gym saw me, and they actually videoed me on their Instagram story. And then when I came out, they're like, oh, Big Mike, that was so funny. Like, and I said, I don't understand what was funny about that. They're like, well, you know, you're in the gym, you're always so serious, and you know, you're a pro. And I said, but this is my normal life right here.
Yes.
What you guys see in the gym, that's, when I'm preparing for a show, that's work. But every day that you don't see me, this is what's going on. When my wife wakes, like, she elbows me to get up with my daughter at 3 a.m. because she's up cranky, I'm up, and I'm sitting in the living room in the rocking chair with some Sports Center trying to stay awake. But that's what we got to do. You know, only other people that have families and do what we do understand what I'm talking about. For everyone else that doesn't make that a priority, they will never understand it, and they will lose out on a lot of things. And so, you know, that's what I tell people all the time. You know, would it be great to go to the Olympia, get invited to the Arnold? Absolutely. I mean, we don't do what we do to not win and place. But at the end of the day, I tell people all the time, when I leave a show, like I did 3 pro shows last year, placed right outside the top 10 and 2. And then I was in the 3rd, 4th call outs, you know, and the last one I did in Dallas. I'm like, listen, at the end of the day, I get to stand amongst my friends who are the best of the best from all over. Doesn't matter. Them winning and placing is like me winning and placing. I get to go home to something better, which is my 2 kids and my wife, who's always going to love me, whether I'm a big guy, skinny guy, doesn't matter. I mean, she teases me about, I'm going to be 40 years old this year. I told this guy at the gym, he goes, oh man, Big Mike, you're going to be 40. Your wife is 25. I said, I know. I'm lucky. I'm going to be the only 40-year-old walking around here the way I walk around with a hot young wife with 2 beautiful kids. So listen, I don't take that shit for granted. I am lucky. You're absolutely right. That's why I try to work as hard as I do, because my wife sacrificed so much in the beginning for me. She believed in me, and she put a lot of her schooling and things on hold. And now we're both business owners. We, have the supplement store. She just opened up her own salon because she's an esthetician. So she does the eyelash extensions, all those things. And then we recently just got blessed with,
go ahead and tell us the name of the business.
And then we recently just got blessed.
Plug it.
So West Coast Supplements is the supplement store out here in Washington. We got 3 locations. My good friend Nick is the CEO of the brand. And so we have a store in Kirkland, Washington. We have one in Lacey, Washington, and also in Spanaway. And then we recently partnered up, and I own a gym here in Lacey, Washington called West Coast Fitness Lacey. So now what's special about this gym is this gym was the gym that I trained at when I was 145 pounds. Wow. And now I'm co-owner of the gym. So it's kind of crazy. And then my wife's lash business is Aesthetics by Caitlin. So we've been very, very, very blessed to be surrounded by the kind of positive people that we've been surrounded by. And it doesn't come easy. I tell people all the time, you're going to learn from your experience. Everyone has to learn and go through an experience. I went through a really bad divorce and was like rock bottom. But the one thing my mom always tells me is she's like, you still got the rock. So you can get out from that, and being able to get out from that and, use my title as a pro to help other competitors and athletes. That's where I get the most joy. I mean, like I said, people are always like, this person, that person's going here and doing that. And I'm like, yeah, but those people don't get to experience what I get to experience. They have the Instagram fame, they have the titles from the shows. But if you ask any one of those guys, they are not happy because they don't have what we have, which is you guys have each other, you have your family, and you've got your business, with your coaching and helping people. We get to set the tone for the next group of athletes that are coming up. And that's where I get the most joy out of, is that I know that I was able to influence someone in a positive way and give them all of the ins and outs of what our sport is, the good, the bad, and everything in between. Because nowadays, these guys coming up, they don't know that, you know. We know that because we've seen it. We've seen, you know, people, like, no one really knew about my divorce because my wife's not in the sport. My ex-wife wasn't in the community. But there's a lot of people that we see in our community every day going through divorce, you know, because they're going with this person and that person. And it's heartbreaking, man. It's one of those things where, like, we're watching people's families and lives getting torn apart. And if they have kids, it's so bad. You know what I mean? It breaks my heart for those families, you know what I mean? Because they just can't see what's right in front of them. And so,
agreed. I mean, you know, like you, we're 6 years apart, not 14, but I still, you know, I can be, right? You know, I'm 48,
oh, yeah. Heck yeah.
29. So, you know, you know, I've been competing and, well, working towards competing and then eventually competing for about 6 or 7 years now. She started about 2 years ago before she did her first show. Yeah. But I can say that we've always had a good relationship, but this has actually even brought us closer together. You know, I mean, you know, we're in our 40s and stuff when a lot of relationships are kind of
dwindling out.
Yeah, going, you know, that 7, 10, 12-year itch and all that kind of stuff we hear about.
Yeah.
You know, we support each other just like you and your wife. You cannot underestimate that system around you. I mean, that's something I think not enough people talk about because they off season, but especially in prep. Wouldn't you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. Because in prep, that's when you're, you know, I tell people all the time that last few weeks of going through prep, that's when you really start to see who you are as a person. Agreed. All these emotions and feelings come out. But I also believe that's where you have to really, really cling closest to your partner or to your family. You know, a lot of people ask me all the time, like I'm getting, you know, going to the Arnold this year for this first sponsor, going to Olympia, and my wife hasn't been able to come with me on some of those trips. And so, you know, they have these pool parties and some of the guys will be like, hey, don't FaceTime your wife while we're here at the pool. And I'm like, listen, if you want to disrespect your relationship and your marriage with your wife, that's fine. But I look at this as an opportunity that my wife loves me so much. She's allowing me to do what I love doing. I'm not going to disrespect my marriage or my wife by not answering the phone or FaceTiming her. I don't have nothing to hide. So I'm going to FaceTime my wife. And if you guys choose to be knuckleheads or be fake for the gram, but in real life, we get to see your true colors. That's cool, man. Like, you know, do whatever you're going to do. But for me, I tell people all the time, I'm very, very lucky and blessed in the fact that I have the wife that I have. Everybody that loves their partner is going to say that about their partner. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely.
And, you know, so for me, I try to always tell people, like, you got to be real with yourself. You know, if this is something that's driving a wedge between your relationship, then you got to look at it like this. What's more important, your relationship, your life that you already have, or the fucking show? Like, I mean, dude, I told this kid, you know, the other day, he's going through all these problems with his newlywed wife because he's getting attention from girls. And he's like, how do you do it? I was like, I don't even entertain it. When I wake up in the morning, my wife sees my phone, probably 10, 15 DMs, because everyone wants to just be attached and have a piece of, they want to say they had a piece of Mike Spencer, but I don't even entertain it. I just delete it. It's not even worth me risking what I have because none of us are perfect. I'm not perfect. You know what I mean? My wife and I have had our ups and downs, but
same here. There's all kinds of things like that going ups and downs that, you know, people don't see. But I'm going to stop there for a second because, you know, you really kind of brought something to my attention. I actually made a post about it not too long ago. You know, bodybuilding, you know, you're not going to do it forever. You know, she's going to be here forever, right? And at the end of the day, when, you know, you leave this earth and they put you in the ground, it's not going to say, here is a great bodybuilder, IFBB pro. No, it's going to say, here lies a loving father, husband, friend, brother, you know, sister, whatever that is. That's legacy. That's our legacy because, you know, that's what we really want to be remembered by. Sure, it can be nice to be remembered as a good bodybuilder and things like that, but that's not the real thing, you know, when we're gone.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And that
who you are as a person.
That, you know, and that's really the biggest thing too, having children. It's like, I have 2 boys. I want to be the best role model for my, oops, sorry, you guys still there?
There you go.
We're there. Yeah, we can hear you.
You're good.
Okay. I want to be the best role model for my two boys, and I want to be a strong male figure for my daughters, because we're all, the people, our children are going to be raised based on our traditions and our life and what we do in front of them, and we're going to be creating the next group of little people. And so, yeah, you're absolutely right. I tell people all the time, it's about leaving a legacy and leaving, you know, great memories of who you are to your peers and to the people that you impact. You know, it's not about, I told two guys that came into my supplements, were like, oh, IFBB Pro. I literally took my pro card out of my wallet and set it on the counter. I'm like, there it is right there. That's the pro card, a piece of paper that I pay for every year. Take it, man. You talk about winning the Emerald Cup. You want the Emerald Cup overall sword? I got it at the house, bro. Yeah. $7, whatever. Take it. I don't give a shit. That shit doesn't mean anything. It's sitting in my closet collecting fucking dust. Like, I have a heart like you guys have it there in the background. Yeah. And obviously it's great to have people come over and show them the accomplishments and show them kind of my timeline.
Mine sat in the closet for about, the first 5 years. Yeah. I mean, literally had dust all over it. We didn't have, I mean, when we did this wall for a background, that was the first time I'd seen them since I won. I mean, exactly.
So that's one of those things where I tell people all the time, I'm like, listen, if that is literally what you're living your life for and you're competing for, I tell people all the time, here, look at it, touch it, hold it. That's what you get. And after Saturday, when the competition's over and Sunday comes around, no one gives a shit that you won the overall. No one cares. All you have is who you have in your. That's it. All you have is who is in your life right there at that moment. And so, yeah, it's I don't know. I feel like a lot of people have been telling me that, you know, oh, Mike, people don't want to hear about that. They don't want to hear what you have to say, but it's important.
It is.
People are too. Exactly. They're so consumed with that social media shit, and I'm like, dude, that's not what it is, man. That's not real life. In real life, you got to deal with real life things and deal with people. And I think that's why the new group of millennials growing up, they're so freaking awkward and like weird. Like, I had these kids like liking a bunch of my pictures in the gym. They're standing 10 feet from me. I walk over. I'm like, hey, just introduce yourself. Like, don't be weird. Like, shake my hand. Like, engage in conversation. Like, yeah. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, you know. So, yeah, I really do think like what you guys are doing with your podcast and what you guys are doing for the sport over there in Idaho, it's great. I wish more people cared about it like I do. But I think a lot of people are just so consumed with that short-term gratification. They want to go to the gym. They want people to praise them. And that's why I said earlier in the beginning, I always ask people when they hire me, before they even hire me, what is your why? I have a 10-question questionnaire that I send out to people with everything from family history, marriage. Does your spouse support you? On a scale to 1 to 10, why, you know, how serious are you in this and that? That way, if there's ever any negativity or something where they're like, oh, I need to back out or this happened, I'll literally pull the questionnaire up and show them. Like, I'm like, you said on a scale to 1 to 10, this is how serious you were, that you would do anything. You said you were a 20. And now all of a sudden, 5 weeks out, when it gets hard and you got to pull carbs, now you're telling me, oh, shit, I don't know if I can do it. Well, I mean, why spend all the money on the suit, especially for the ladies? I mean, the suits are thousands of dollars for that kind of stuff. So, you know, I look at it like I told my bikini client that was going to compete, you know, she was dealing with relationship stuff. I was like, at the end of the day, it's not worth it. If your boyfriend is going to be that mean to you and put you down, it's better that you just save your relationship if you really love this guy and maybe later down the road try to do a show, because right now it's not good timing. And I think a lot of people don't realize that the shows go on year after year after year after year.
Be there.
There's always going to be a show around the corner.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's always going to be there.
So I want to actually go back to something that you touched on, like with the struggles with your divorce and things like that, and you're still prepping for nationals and kind of your world is crumbling around you, but you're still prepping. And so I heard a lady the other day said something like she had all these different things go wrong during her prep, and she wasn't going to be in great shape, but when she gets to the show, she hopes that she would just. Sorry, we got a cat fight going on.
I'm gonna take care of it.
Oh no, it's okay.
But anyways, they kind of like get in their own world and they think they're the only one that had any kind of struggle during prep, and all these obstacles that they had to overcome, and everybody else didn't deal with anything. Like, you don't have a family member dying or, you know, a big project coming up at work or whatever. Everybody's got something.
Right. and I tell people like this, it's about prioritizing. It's what's most important to you, at that time. At the time when I was trying to get my pro card, my wife and I, we had $1,000 in our bank account, and we were like, dang, but we were already invested. We were like, hey, we're already invested. We're doing this. And I went into it with an open mind and an open heart. I told people, if I don't get my pro card, then I'm still going to be the best advocate for bodybuilding where I'm from, because I love the sport. Mm-hmm. I love what it did to me. On top of having Caitlin with me through this journey, I mean, bodybuilding is very important to me because, I was a functioning alcoholic, mm-hmm. and bodybuilding saved my life from that. So that's another reason why I believe in the sport. I mean, and actually this past January, hey, Davina, can you find me a charger? This past January, when my son turned
life
11,
goes on, man. Life goes on.
Yeah, it's been 11 years since I've had a drop of alcohol. Mm-hmm. Not a sip, not a taste, not anything. So, that's another reason why I tell people, kind of like you mentioned, that work stuff happens. Yeah, hey, it's priority, man. You got to prioritize things in your life, but it's just going to be what's most important to you at that time, and I feel like a lot of people, when they get into shows, I'm sure you guys deal with this, they don't really look at the big picture. They're just like, oh, this person at the gym said I look like I could compete, look like I could win, and like I'm ready to go, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so that's why I really feel like it's a full thing when we talk about our lifestyle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I tell ladies, they ask for advice on social media, and all their friends and family will say, oh, you look stage ready right now. But if you're walking down the street, even as a bikini competitor, if you're walking down the street and you don't get a few kind of like weird looks, not like you look fabulous, but you look kind of weird because your face is all sunken in, and
right. You ain't ready.
Then you're not stage lean.
You ain't stage ready then.
We look totally different in real life than we do on stage, man. You know that.
It's crazy. Like this, I actually just this morning at my gym, I pissed off a girl who's getting ready for the Vancouver, because she's like bopping around and she's getting her little gym sharks and, selfieing it up. And she's like, oh yeah, I'm doing a show this year. And I'm like, oh, what show you doing? She's like, oh, I'm doing Emerald Cup. I'm like, oh, you doing Emerald Cup 2021? And she's like, yeah. She's like, what? And I'm like, yeah, you're doing Emerald Cup next year, right? She's like, no, I'm doing it this year. And I was like, oh, really? And her husband was standing next to me, and he like looks at me and kind of does and I'm like, I mean, you still look like you're like 8 weeks out. And she's like, what? She's like, my husband told me I look great. And I was like, well, I mean, he's supposed to tell you that, he's your husband. I mean, yeah. And she's like, I'm like, well, you're asking me my opinion.
Yeah, she may look great for normal everyday life, but again, that's not
exactly
the stage.
The stage is not the real life, and it's not even personal. You're not saying she's not an attractive person. You're not saying there's anything wrong with her, but for the stage, just because we know what it takes to be successful in sport, you're not there yet. That's all.
I think kind of what you're tapping on is many people don't want to hurt other people's feelings, right? But I have a different mindset on that. I'd rather, as a coach or even if somebody asking advice, I'd rather tell somebody 6 or 8 weeks out, hey, look, you're not going to be ready for this. We need to either slow down, maybe look at another show or whatever, than, me saying you're going to do fine. And then you come off stage, like last call out, wondering what the hell goes on. So you
why didn't you tell me?
Yeah. So you found out you weren't ready in front of the world instead of on a one-on-one conversation. Which one's going to hurt worse? I think we know the answer to that one for sure.
Right. And I think that's why, and I think that's why for me too, I'm very, very selective. I don't really consider myself the kind of coach that has a huge team. I'm very, very picky because I want people to take it serious, and I tell people all the time, I just tell people like, hey, listen, I mean, same type of thing you say. It's like, you can be serious about this. Like in sports, like let's take basketball or football, for instance, all those guys playing on the team, they're all pros. But do you want to just be the same, or do you want to excel and stand out? That's why we have the Jordans and the Tiger Woods and the Michael Phelps. I mean, there's a one of one. Do you want to be the one of one, or do you want to just be okay? Because if that's the case, then you'll do just fine. You know what I mean? And so definitely keeping it real with people, and not a lot of people like that, but
Well, but it needs to be said, and that would take away a lot of the heartache that happens when those people who aren't ready to come off the stage. Somebody said it the other day, or wrote it. I don't know who it was. 'Cause I'd like to give it credit. There's two kinds of people who compete in bodybuilding: people who do competitions, and then people who are competitive. And there is a big difference. Which one do you want to be? Do you want to be a competitor, or do you want to be competitive for that top spot?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's why. Yeah, and I think that's why for me, I tell people I excelled so quickly in the sport is just because I just didn't mess around. I took it 100% serious, no matter what. I mean, I got a chance to train with Victor Martinez and some of these top guys, and you guys know when you guys take on clients that train with you, when you get them in that set or those drop sets or whatever, you see their face, they're like, oh, damn, like I wasn't prepared for that, So it's definitely a mindset going into it as far as like who's serious and who isn't.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's more fun for judges and the audience and everything when you see people up there that really want it. That like their heart and soul is in it.
Absolutely.
Excuse me.
Okay. So let's go ahead. Cause I know you got to come on. This is how busy this guy is. He had to do this, interview on the car when he first tried to get hold of me, go to the grocery store doing errands. I mean, I don't know if it's more real than that, right?
Yeah.
But if you had like a couple final thoughts, something, 2 or 3 things you really want people to take away from this, if they didn't remember anything else, what would that be?
I would say that they should just, you there? Sorry.
Yeah. We're good.
I would say for the top thoughts is go into it, with zero expectations. Anything you do, go into it with zero expectations. And also too, don't be afraid to fail. You know what I mean? Because that's part of life in anything we do. You're going to fail, and you can either be one of those people that are going to choose to lay down, or you're going to be one of the people that are going to choose to rise above it. I think for me, I tell people all the time, I was one of those people that I wasn't going to quit. When my father-in-law and my mother-in-law, who I love dearly now, when they first met me and realized how old I was and had 2 kids, they told me, no, I couldn't be with Caitlin. I wouldn't be with her. And I told I looked him dead in the face. I said, hey, listen, I'm going to marry your daughter. I love your daughter, and I'm going to have her whether you give me the blessing or not. That's just going to be on you, but you're not going to stop me from working hard for her and trying to be the best version that I can be for her. And so, I think with that, I think people should go into it with, like I said, zero expectations. They shouldn't be afraid to fail. You have to go into this sport because this isn't a team sport. This is an individual thing. When we go on stage, no one cares how much you can bench. No one cares how much you can squat. Nobody cares how many booty band lifts you did or whatever,
or what team you're on.
Right. Exactly. You are getting judged for your physique, and the best person is going to win. I tell my clients all the time, when they get smashed by another team or they don't place the way they do, I'm like, listen, sometimes this is the third thing. Sometimes you have to be a great champion at losing than you do at winning, because that doesn't mean you're not good. That just means it wasn't your time. I truly believe in timing, and if it's your time, it's your time. I feel like everything that I had done in my life leading up to before I turned pro, and I'm sure it may have happened for you guys, I don't know, but when I turned pro, everything flashed before my eyes. Every experience, every feeling, every cold chicken meal, nasty fish meal, cardio stair stepper, it flashed before my eyes, and I was right there. And I think about that every time, and it's one of those things, those experiences that I hold true to my heart, because my wife was there, someone that loves the sport as much as I do. My child was there. And so, I tell people all the time, listen, you want to turn pro? I don't knock that idea. I don't knock that goal. But if that's something that you're going to do, like anything in life and in business, you got to work hard for it. You know what I mean? Same thing with relationships in our marriage. You know what I mean? People all the time, they're like, oh, you and Caitlin, you guys are so funny. I'm like, listen, if I had a video camera in my house so you could see what my life was, half the time I'm screaming, she's telling me I'm a dick because someone moved my fork, and I'm super OCD. I got the same shitty fork and same shitty Tupperware and same shitty shaker, and I don't want no one to touch it. If it's out of sight, out of mind, I'm not going to look nowhere else because I'm super weird like that. You know what I mean? So all these experiences, you know, are just like, you know, it's all part of who we are. And to the young guys coming up, you know, I think they should just be real with themselves and keep perspective. You know, don't get caught up in the hype of the social media, and really truly invest, not just in yourself, but also in your coach. Like, believe in the person that's helping you. You know, I tell people all the time when they sign up with me or they consult with me, I'm like, you realize if you work with me, I'm going to treat this like you're a family member, either a little brother or a little sister, almost like a marriage. I'm going to call you and hound you and be on your ass. But if you don't call me and show me that you're serious, I'm not going to call you either, because I shouldn't have to hold a grown person's hand and tell them, hey, check in. Hey, send me your weight. Send me, you know, this and that. If you do it, you do it. If you don't, like, it's not my goal. I'm a pro already. I don't need to worry about it, you know. And a lot of people don't like that, but I feel like that's needed in our sport, because I'm sure you guys know there are a lot of teams out there. There are a lot of coaches. They make big business off of feeding people dreams. That's just what it is.
How many people decide to get in the door? And
that's it. I mean, one thing I can say about you guys and USA Physiques and Mecca Gym and Eric, I mean, you guys produce some beasts. Like, I always look forward to seeing people that represent your guys' team, your guys' gym, because I know that they're not coming to fuck around. And I always tell people that too. I'm like, if you're going to follow anyone on social media, you should be looking at the ones that have the biggest record of guaranteed wins. You know what I mean? Not just because they got a cool uniform or a cool shirt or they got this many followers. It's like, who's producing the winners? Who's producing top quality athletes? And that's what it should be about. So I'm looking forward. I've been seeing some of your guys' people, a couple of your pros and a couple of your amateurs I know that are getting ready, and I'm excited. You know, as a pro, I'm not just a pro, but I'm also a fan. Like, I love like when you turned pro and you killed it and won. I still have the picture. I was looking through my Instagram, the pictures I sent you when your wife won and then went and turned pro that year. You know, I mean, I love that. It was like I turned pro all over again. So I am truly a huge fan, you know, of the sport. And I love what you guys are doing over in Idaho. I look forward to going to Idaho and seeing you guys at the shows. And I think people just need to be more serious about it.
Yeah, I can't wait to come down there and go to your gym, man. You know, been wanting to do that.
Absolutely.
Next time we come down, you know you're going to get a call.
Oh, yeah, you for sure. Absolutely. You guys are more than welcome to come down here. We would love to have you. I mean,
the workout between us three would be a bomb, dude. Seriously.
That would be some great footage to put up. You know?
Yeah. As long as you don't have a language ban in there, because I get pretty rough.
Oh, no. No, you know what? That's the funny thing. A lot of people when they're training with me, they're like, you sure do swear a lot. I'm like, sorry. My wife says I'm just passionate, so just take it for what it is.
Comes out.
Exactly.
She was actually raised by a single dad for the most part, blue collar worker who also was a boxer. So you can imagine the things that she was around and stuff like that. I think she wants to meet some, but it fires me up. I mean, I'm not kidding. I'll be on there doing plate raises or something. I'll drop it and she'll like, come on, pussy, pick that thing up. You want a tampon? You know?
Yeah.
What do I do? I bust about 2 or 3 reps, you know?
That's exactly what me and my wife are. We have the same relationship. You know, everyone knows, and I tell people all the time, the only type of cardio I will ever enjoy doing is if I'm having sex. Forget this treadmill, forget the stair stepper. That's the only kind of cardio I will go.
I forgot. Arnold has a saying about that. I forget what it is, but like,
yeah, exactly.
I was a shirt made with that.
Yeah,
pumping
you know what I mean.
Acceptable exercise, pumping and humping.
Yeah, but yeah, it's one of those things. Right. Yeah, exactly. You know, so but same thing. I mean, people laugh when they see, you know, me and Caitlin training because they're like, well, she's so tiny and she's a, you know, bikini competitor. I'm like, listen, that's my gym partner. She's the only one, I'm sure, like you, Chet, who knows how to push a button in me to keep me home. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? So it's definitely one of those things that I love that we have that relationship, you know, with. And
and it fosters the relationship too. There's something that's kind of sexy or inspiring about seeing your spouse really pushing hard.
Right. I mean, it's just, you know, working together. You know, every day I wake up, I tell people, you know, my wife is a very creative, a very thoughtful person. And me growing up with my dad being ex-military, it's like, you don't take no shit. Men don't cry. You work for your family. You bust ass. Da 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 da. So being with her in these 8 years of our our relationship, and we actually last August officially got married on paper.
Congratulations.
Thank you. She's taught me a lot of things about being sensitive and being able to express my feelings towards others, male or female, So one of the things I try to do is I try to leave little sticky notes for my wife, like in her wallet or, on her purse. And I always tell her, I'm like, but just don't tell nobody, because I don't want no one, I don't want motherfuckers to know out in the streets like I'm fucking soft, like we got to keep up this hard ass image, But it is what it is, you know what I mean? Like it's, I take great pride in it. I take great pride in having friends like you guys, and also too, we have the connection as far as being professionals, and it's great. I feel like we're making a difference in the people that we do help and we do influence, and that's all that matters. You know what I mean? It's just brick by brick, one day at a time.
Yeah,
absolutely. And
go ahead.
Just to long story short, for any kind of longevity in the sport, you've got to be able to find that balance with your relationships, your job, your training, your just being who you are as a person, not losing yourself in it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Find that balance.
Yeah, absolutely.
When's your next show, man? What's next plans over the next year?
So I got invited to go to the Asian Grand Prix in Korea. So that's in September. So I'm probably going to go do that show this September over in Korea, over in Seoul, Korea. So, I mean, my mom is, so I'm half Korean. My mom is from Korea. So it's going to be like a good family trip to be able to visit my relatives from there, and also represent that side of the family as an IFBB professional too,
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens.
Good.
Like it.
Love it, man. We're going to be following up and see how things go and what. And I'm sure we'll be seeing you here in the next 2 months at the Emerald Cup. So we'll have to get together.
Oh yeah,
How far
absolutely.
do you live from there anyway? Where in Washington are you again?
I'm in Kirkland, Mill Creek right now, so I'm probably like 20 minutes from Bellevue. But my gym is further down south in Lacey. So if you guys, are up here and you want to get down there a little early or whatever, I can show you. I mean, there's tons of gyms in the area I can take you guys to, and we can get some content, show these guys what's up.
Oh, hell yeah. Awesome. Would love it. All right, guys. So again, Michael Spencer, hey, if anybody needs to get a hold of you, how would they do that?
So you guys can reach me on my Instagram page. It's IFBB Pro _ Michael Spencer 03. On Instagram or on Facebook, it's just IFBB Pro Michael Spencer. And I'm on both of those social media outlets all the time. So any questions on training, I mean, I try to just keep it wide open. I don't like people just to message me just for training. I mean, if you want to talk relationship stuff, I love to shop. So you want to talk about sneakers or food, whatever, hit me up. If I tell people all the time, I had a guy take me out to sushi the other day. He's like, hey, I'm in town. I heard that you like sushi. Can I take you to lunch? I'm like, hell yeah. But I was like, listen, it's going to be an expensive bill because I eat a lot, bro. So he's like, oh, I know. I seen the stories. I know. So, those type of things that, I want people to know, that I'm a real person like them. That, outside of having the love for bodybuilding and bodybuilding giving me the life that it's given me, I want them to know, like, we can talk about church. We can talk about God. We can talk about whatever it is you want to talk about, because all of us are connected in some way to something, right? And it all could lead back to fitness. I always feel like that it could do that. So
very good.
Very good. Again, one more time, Michael Spencer, talking about somebody who knows how to keep it real. I mean, this is a guy, follow him. I mean, he's a no bullshitter, straight shooter. And if you want to hear it like it is, he'll tell it to you. All right. Thanks for joining us here again.
Yeah.
We're going to do this again. Maybe next time.
Thanks for having me.
Stuff and whatnot and stuff. So you can see how people can build that bod that you got, man, for the stage. But that'll be the next topic. All right, guys, we're going to wrap it up
for the old guys now.
Anytime in the future, again, get a hold of Michael and be sure to hit subscribe to our YouTube channel because we got a lot of more good things coming out for you in the future. Stay tuned.